Hello there. Okay, so first video of this style, but I had to get in on this. So 5 reasons why the Switch 2 is great for all gamers. Pretty broad topic and pretty subjective, but I figured I'd take a crack at it and talk about this. So what is the first reason I'm going to go with here? And that is, well, for those who bought the PS5 and Xbox Series X and they really wanted that horsepower and maybe passed on the Switch, even back in 2017 because of the lack of horsepower, the doubt that there'd be any games on there outside of first party that'd be worth playing, the lack of ports, all those things considered, or even the stigma that goes with Nintendo consoles, like this is for kids or something like that. Well, let me tell you something. I think that you're gonna have a good time with Switch 2. Improved hardware. You have the specs that are really, in my opinion, I think it's directed at those people I was talking about, the gamers I was talking about, not the try hard gamers, but sort of like the more competitive ones, the more, I want my specs. Bigger screens too, as you guys can see here, jealous, 13.9 inches.
Nice.
But, no OLED this time around, but it's got 4K 60 FPS for the new Mario Kart, 1440, 120 hertz. I think even docked, I should have researched this, but I know you could do 1440p, 120 hertz, I believe, for Mario. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Look at that. I mean, on this system, plus, here's the big kicker. All of these things considered with, the upgrades to this system, it's also a hybrid console. I mean, it's incredible. Third-party support that we're getting at launch and are promised to have, promised to get, as well as exclusives. On top of having, look, HDR is crazy. But the key points here, they're going after the things that might have gotten in the way of people getting the Switch 1 with the Switch 2, while also elevating the things that made the Switch 1 great. So that's point number 1. Before I go into point number 2, I want to mention, I forgot something in point number 1. Bear with me as I do these types of videos. It's my first time kind of really getting into this, but whatever. I think you guys will be patient with me. The last thing I want to make, towards number 1's point is Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons. What's the big deal with the Joy-Cons? Well, one of the biggest criticisms of the Joy-Con, right, were how frail they were and how weird they were and how they didn't really feel too optimized. They're improving the Joy-Cons. Magnetic connection, right? A lot. They're not Hall effect sticks, but they're supposed to be anti-stick drift, so we'll see. We all know that it's ridiculous that the Joy-Cons were that expensive for being as frail as they were. I mean, there were lawsuits involving that, so there's another point there for 1. But number 2, games, and games. Even if you missed some of the peak games in the Switch 1 generation, like I have. Super Mario Odyssey, missed that one. I haven't beat Breath of the Wild, and I didn't even touch Tears of the Kingdom. Games like that, they're getting improved versions. So if you missed out, you didn't, because now you're getting the best versions of these games, right? It's not just simply a port or backwards compatibility where you get to just play them. Now you're just playing them on the Switch 2 gen. You're actually playing a better version for some of them. Even the Pokemon games, Scarlet and Violet. You got those guaranteed first-party titles that are going to be very fun to play and are pretty much complete experiences. Now, this is not, we're not going to get into the pricing conversation here. That's not where I want to go with that, because if I'm going to talk true about how some of these features and some of the angles that Nintendo is taking are directed at the hardcore gamers, those who are willing to spend a little more money for performance, I feel like I'd be missing the mark if I bring up the pricing here to take away from that argument. I feel like it kind of adds to it. So, like, that this is the audience. They're going to spend this. Like, people who are buying, it's not quite the same, but it's sort of going in the direction where they're trying to capture some people who would buy the PS5 Pro, a good amount of them, and look at the Switch 2 and go, hey, you know what? Hybrid console, all those first-party titles, better performance, better system, Papa John's, pick it up. But third-party titles, too, not just first-party. Elden Ring on launch. I believe it's on launch. I know Cyberpunk 27. Is it 2077? I think it is. I always forget the numbers. But yeah, that's going to be available at launch with a much improved version. It looks good. It looks good. So that's awesome. In a hybrid fashion. Don't forget that, because this is what you're paying for here. $450 for this console. It's less than the PS5. Well, less than the PS5 Pro, but so is everything. I mean, if I sold a kidney, I would get less. I wouldn't be able to buy it. Xbox X raised their prices, and man, believe me, I have both those systems. Other than the PS5 exclusives, there's no reason to get those, really. If you're asking me, I think. The Elden Ring developers from Software are dropping an exclusive Night Rain. No, I'm sorry. That's the wrong thing. They're dropping an exclusive Duskbloods for the Switch only. They're committed. They are committed. We're going to get better. I mean, Hogwarts Legacy is getting a Switch 2 version. The only downside is you do have to pay full price for it again, even if you bought the original one, which kind of sucks. But yeah, you got the whole point here. You have the promising first-party titles. You know there's going to be more complete experiences that are devoid of that live service parasite that that we're all exhausted by. At least I am. I want to play a finished game. If there's DLC down the line, fine. But I want to play a finished game, not like wait later, you know, not microtransaction infused. And the third-party titles, which was one of the biggest criticisms. So I think that's very, very important. On to point number 3. Point number 3. This one's strong. Mouse functionality. The Joy-Cons are going to act like mouseuses. And I believe they work with USB mics too, like external ones. I think I heard that. If that's true, am I using my G Pro wireless on that? That'd be pretty fire. But this is important because now you're opening the door for a lot of games that can be brought to the system now. And you can play with a mouse. I mean, it's pretty sick. I know, so I'm thinking like Civilization. I could think of Roller Coaster Tycoon. I don't know if anyone plays that, if it still exists, but that would be a fun game to play on the Switch, and that would fit the audience type, the consumer base. The Sims, is that you can play with that with mouse, right? Yeah, there's other games too. I'm an idiot, so take that for what it's worth. But it is important to consider the mouse functionality. Now, the criticism, or sort of like the about the mouse was, some of the criticisms. Oh, how could I play with a mouse from my couch in my recliner leaning back? All right, listen, I think there's a bit of an assumption, an overly confident assumption, or a stigma even at some points, that Switch gamers are just like literally giant inactive potatoes that sit and they game literally with one eye halfway open, and they're on a giant TV and they're literally sunk into a love seat. Sure, that's pretty chill, but I know from my experience, a lot of games I play on the Switch are fun, interactive, or they're cooperative. I'm sitting up, I'm getting into it. Yeah, there's some chill games, and nothing wrong with that. I love a chill game, but I don't know anybody who's like, oh. And the ultimate point here is, with a mouse, and a game that involves a mouse, you wouldn't play it on a couch anyways. This is just another option. $450 gets you some of the best first-party games out there, third-party major titles, and now games with mouse functionality. As you guys can see, this is the new Metroid game. I believe you can use a mouse for it. All in one. Is the mouse going to be amazing on the Joy-Con? Probably not. It might be like one of those, USB mouse you get at like Walmart. But like, even if it's not super sexy, if it works well, that's fine. So that's a big point here. I think this video here showcases this. A shout out to these guys. Really cool. Looks pretty responsive to me. This sort of ties into point number 2, which involves, or point number 1, excuse me, which is bringing in some of these outside gamers. But I think one of the criticisms I've heard of the Switch 2 is that it seems to be just all about the specs and not about that blue ocean strategy and, Gunpei Yokoi making the most out of weaker hardware. I kind of disagree, because I think it's not entirely true. I think that you're still paying $450, but you're paying less than like Xbox X, and you're getting a hybrid console that can play a lot of the same titles and play its own exclusives, and it's got a mouse functionality. You're getting a lot out of this. I don't know if people really weigh the hard fact, of the Switch 2 and the Switch in general being a hybrid console. They don't weigh it enough. I think it's so important. Like, play the way you want to play. That's the biggest part about gaming to me. So I think they get huge credits for this. I think this is going to be sick. I know Jamboree is going to use the mouse, I believe. Or I'm sorry, I made that up. It uses the camera. That's another one too. I'm not going to use that as a point, but they are adding a camera to add your face into Mario Kart and stuff. That's a little too niche. And in Super Mario Party Jamboree. But I'm sure the mouse is going to be involved in other games. This is a point for me. At least in my book, it's a point. Not for me. It's a point for the Switch 2 from me. Okay, this one might be a bit of a cherry pick or a little bit of a stretch. Green screen bugging out on this one. Hold on, wait till this goes away. You guys will see. Sorry, I'm new to this stuff, but not the green screen use. Got into this. I really like this format. Shout out to Beat 'em Ups. Started watching his content. Thought this was super cool. Not nearly as refined, but anyway, this is a bit of a stretch, but nostalgia sells. Now, it might seem weird to say, oh, for those who haven't played the Switch, but grew up with Nintendo games and think all the old games are better, this could help. GameCube games are coming to NSO, and on top of that, if you get I think it's the most expensive package for NSO. I don't know how much it is per year, but if you get that, you get all the GameCube games that are going to be there at launch. I think it's this is Soul Calibur. There's going to be Wind Waker. You also get the Switch 2 upgrades for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They're part of the service. You'd have to pay $15, I believe, each for both if you didn't get this service, but it's all in one. Now, nostalgia sells. We know this. This might be enough. We're getting very close to getting every single Nintendo title playable on a Switch console. I believe the NSO has, it's got a lot of, I know they added the 64 in the past couple years, which was sick. Now they're gonna have GameCube games. And listen, GameCube has one of the most legendary game libraries. When I stream as a sports gamer and FPS guy, I'm in, the day job. Everyone in my chat, a lot of them, they don't play these games anymore. They don't have a Switch even, but they fondly remember the GameCube. They remember the games. And the funny part is it had no third-party support really, but it has the first-party support. I think it's going to be a good selling point. I think if you can get all of these games you grew up with, plus the new titles, how could that not be? Again, bit of a stretch, but I think this NSO is finally, this version of it's finally offering value. Forgive me for point number 5 being a little bit of a sort of like a roundup of everything. It's not its own individual point, but I want to make this point anyways. Because I think it does matter. Bringing this all together, what is the Switch 2 going to be? Well, at least in my mind, it's going to be all the best things of a Switch 1, I believe, refined. But it's going to also attack all of the very prominent weaknesses, or at least the criticisms that the Switch 1 got. It's going to attack it all. It's going to have everything you need. And I know it doesn't make a lot of sense to pitch this out like this, because it's not really a fact, but it's sort of like, in my experience, I've seen people tell me they just don't have enough time for this, enough money for that. It's very hard right now, at least in America, I can tell you this, to find time to game or to have the money to buy all these different games. And then, you know, you're moving, you're on the move. A hybrid console for $450, it might be a little pricey. It's, you know, they're not making $1 on the console sales like they did with the Switch. They're selling it at an even, apparently. If you only have time and money for one thing, this console might be it for you. It might be. I think it'd be able to capture a large audience. I think that the commitment I'm seeing from third-party developers, big ones, not just random ones, not EA putting sports titles on it, big ones. FromSoft having all their games on this, I mean, not all their games, but like their big titles and an exclusive. I think that, you know, Cyberpunk working well. I mean, we'll talk about GTA in the future. We'll see about that. But I think this is a sign of good things to come, personally. And I think that my fifth point, if I had to pick, other than summing it all up, is that in a very tough time right now with time and money, I think that if you're looking for best bang for your buck, the 2-in-1, it's this. It's sort of like if you have enough money for a really, really good monitor or a really good TV, but you don't want to get both, or if you just don't want to buy two, you can get like a gaming TV, like those LG C whatever ones. It kind of makes sense in that way too. And I'm excited because I think one of my points about live service fatigue being a thing and wanting a complete experience, I think Nintendo will offer that. I really do think they will, because I'm 29. One of my most favorable, or memorable, I should say, and the ones I think of most favorably, the gaming experiences I've had in the last couple of years have been Nintendo titles. Games I played on my own. You know, Paper Mario and the Origami King wasn't the greatest game ever, but I really enjoyed my time and it was very memorable. Games I get to play with my fiance, my friends. Anybody who, like, if I want a game serious, I can do it on the Switch too. If I want a game with the friends and just chill and have a couple of drinks, I can. If I want to, you know, make some memories and like laughs on a like an easy little like Tuesday night, like play with my fiance and we just laugh it up and we have some fun. It's co-op. It's for everybody and anybody. I think that's the most important thing, right? And I hope you guys enjoy it if you get the console. If you want to wait it out and see, go for it. I'll be doing game reviews here and topic reviews and stuff like that for this Switch 2. Pretty much predominantly Switch 2 content. So I'll see you guys soon, all right? Hope you enjoy the video. Peace. I don't know how I forgot this. Kirby in the Forgotten Land is getting 60 FPS from 30 and DLC. And my fiance and I, we played through it. We loved it. Bandana Waddle Dee for life. Awesome game. I don't know how I forgot that. Oh my, I'm so excited. I hope you guys are too.